Imagine being hailed as the next Bob Marley by Bob Marley himself. Picture a teenage boy with a voice so powerful it could bring grown men to tears. Envision an artist who recorded over 75 albums yet remains unknown to millions who've been influenced by his sound. This is the story of Dennis Brown, the crown prince of reggae, the man who changed music forever but never got the global recognition he deserved. By the end of this video you'll understand why Dennis Brown isn't just another forgotten reggae artist, but a revolutionary whose fingerprints can be found on everything from modern R&B to hip-hop. His journey will leave you questioning why some of music's greatest innovators fade from public memory, while their influence lives on in every song you stream. Born on February 1, 1957, in Kingston, Jamaica, Dennis Emmanuel Brown was destined to become one of reggae's most influential voices. Growing up in the musical hotbed of Jamaica's capital, young Dennis was surrounded by the evolving sounds of ska, rocksteady, and the emerging reggae movement. His childhood in Kingston wasn't just about geographical location, it was about being at the epicenter of a cultural revolution that would eventually spread worldwide. The streets of Kingston in the 1960s were alive with music pouring from sound systems, and it was in this vibrant atmosphere that Dennis Brown's remarkable musical journey began. Dennis showed extraordinary talent from a remarkably young age. At just 11 years old, he recorded his first hit "No Man Is an Island" in 1969, displaying a vocal maturity that defied his youth. His powerful, soulful voice immediately distinguished him from other artists, earning him the nickname "The Boy Wonder" among Kingston's music scene. This early success wasn't just a novelty, it was the beginning of one of reggae's most prolific careers. Young Dennis quickly became a regular performer at top Kingston venues, often being lifted onto the stage due to his small stature, yet commanding the attention of audiences who were mesmerized by the profound soul emanating from such a young performer. What truly set Dennis Brown apart was his distinctive vocal style that blended reggae rhythms with soul influences. His smooth, honeyed voice could transition seamlessly from gentle crooning to powerful, emotive delivery. This versatility allowed him to transcend the boundaries of traditional reggae, incorporating elements of R&B, soul, and lovers rock into his music. Listen to tracks like "Money in My Pocket" or "Love Has Found Its Way," and you'll hear how Brown's vocals dance over the reggae rhythm, creating a sound that was both authentic to Jamaica yet universally appealing. This unique approach to singing would later influence countless artists across multiple genres, from reggae successors to British soul singers. The 1970s marked Dennis Brown's rise to international recognition. His collaboration with producer Winston "Niney" Holness resulted in the landmark album Just Dennis 1975, which showcased his growing artistic maturity. This period also saw Brown working with other legendary producers, including Joe Gibbs, with whom he recorded the international hit "Money in My Pocket" in 1978. This song crossed over to the UK charts, expanding Brown's audience beyond Jamaica. Throughout this decade, Dennis was incredibly prolific, sometimes recording for multiple producers simultaneously, building a vast catalog that demonstrated his versatility and cemented his status as reggae royalty. A pivotal moment in Dennis Brown's legacy came when Bob Marley himself dubbed him the Crown Prince of Reggae. This wasn't just a casual nickname but a profound endorsement from reggae's king. Marley once stated that if he could have anyone else's voice, it would be Dennis Brown's, high praise from the genre's most iconic figure. This recognition reflected Brown's standing within Jamaica, where he was revered not just for his musical talent but for his humble demeanor and authentic connection to his roots. Despite his growing fame, Brown remained deeply connected to the streets of Kingston, often seen among ordinary people rather than isolating himself as a celebrity. Dennis Brown's lyrical content often reflected his deep Rastafarian faith. Songs like "Revolution," wolves and leopards, and the Promised Land carried powerful messages of spiritual redemption, social justice, and cultural pride. Unlike some artists who adopted Rastafarian imagery primarily for aesthetic purposes, Brown's faith informed both his music and his life. His lyrics often addressed the struggles of the oppressed, called for unity, and promoted positive change. Yet Brown also mastered the art of the love song, creating romantic tracks that spoke to universal experiences of affection, heartbreak, and desire, demonstrating his range as both a performer and a songwriter. The 1980s brought both new opportunities and challenges for Dennis Brown. He signed with A&M Records, releasing albums aimed at breaking through to the American market. While Brown maintained his artistic integrity during this period, the attempt to cross over to mainstream American success proved elusive. Nevertheless, this era produced some of his most beloved work, including the album Revolution 1985, which many critics consider among his finest. Throughout this decade, Brown continued to tour extensively, bringing his electrifying live performances to audiences across the globe while maintaining his prolific recording schedule. Dennis Brown's influence extended far beyond reggae's boundaries. His vocal techniques and melodic approach have been cited as influences by artists ranging from Barrington Levy and Luciano, in reggae to R&B singers and modern hip-hop artists who sample his distinctive sound. The way Brown could float over a rhythm, his impeccable phrasing, and his ability to convey emotion have become reference points for generations of vocalists. Moreover, his prolific output established a template for artistic productivity that many later artists would follow. Even in genres seemingly far removed from reggae, Brown's impact can be heard in the soulful delivery and melodic choices of numerous contemporary artists. Beyond his musical contributions, Dennis Brown was known for his warm personality and generous spirit. Stories abound of Brown helping young artists, giving advice, or simply offering encouragement. His humility despite his immense talent made him beloved not just as an artist but as a person. In Kingston, he was known to be accessible to fans and fellow musicians alike, never developing the aloofness that sometimes comes with stardom. This genuine connection with people enhanced his music's impact, as listeners felt they were hearing from someone authentic who truly lived the messages in his songs. Despite his professional success, Dennis Brown's personal life included struggles that ultimately contributed to his untimely death. Years of touring took a toll on his health, and he battled substance abuse issues. By the late 1990s, these problems had begun to affect his performances, though his voice retained much of its power. Tragically, on July 1, 1999, Dennis Brown passed away at just 42 years old from respiratory failure. Jamaica declared a national day of mourning, and thousands attended his funeral, demonstrating the profound impact he had on his homeland. Even in death, Brown brought people together through his music, as fans from all walks of life gathered to honor the Crown Prince. Dennis Brown's musical legacy lives on through an astonishing catalog of over 75 albums and more than 200 singles. This incredible body of work spans different eras of reggae, from early rocksteady influences to digital productions of the 1980s and 1990s. Because Brown recorded for so many different producers and labels, navigating his discography can be challenging for new listeners, but this vastness also means there's always another Dennis Brown gem to discover. Compilations like The Crown Prince of Reggae and The Prime of Dennis Brown offer excellent entry points for those looking to explore his essential works. The impact of Dennis Brown on Jamaican culture extends beyond music. He represented a positive image of Jamaica to the world, showcasing the island's cultural richness and artistic depth. In Kingston, murals of Brown can be found, and his name is invoked with reverence when discussing the nation's musical heritage. Annual tributes are held on the anniversary of his birth and death, ensuring that new generations of Jamaicans understand his significance. In 2011, he was posthumously awarded the Order of Distinction by the Jamaican government, officially recognizing his contributions to the country's cultural development and international reputation. What makes Dennis Brown's story particularly poignant is the contrast between his enormous influence and his relative obscurity among mainstream music audiences outside reggae circles. While dedicated reggae fans revere him, many casual listeners who enjoy the genres he helped shape may not know his name. This disparity highlights how musical innovation often flows from the margins to the mainstream, with pioneers sometimes receiving less recognition than those who later popularize their innovations. Brown's legacy raises important questions about cultural attribution and recognition in the music industry, particularly for artists from the global South. The storytelling in Dennis Brown's music offers valuable insights into Jamaica's post-colonial experience. Through his lyrics, listeners can trace the hopes, challenges, and cultural pride of Jamaica in the decades following independence. Songs like Sitting and Watching and Have You Ever Been Down provide perspectives on economic hardship and resilience that complement historical accounts of the period. By embedding social commentary within infectious melodies, Brown created accessible documents of his time that continue to resonate with contemporary struggles for justice and equality around the world. For artists today, Dennis Brown's career offers several valuable lessons. His willingness to collaborate with various producers while maintaining his distinctive voice demonstrates how artists can expand their creative range without losing their identity. His prolific output shows the value of consistent creation rather than waiting for perfect conditions. Perhaps most importantly, his authentic connection to his music's message reminds creators that genuine expression resonates more powerfully than calculated commercial appeals. In an era of carefully constructed artist personas, Brown's straightforward sincerity feels refreshingly relevant. New listeners discovering Dennis Brown today often express surprise at how contemporary his music sounds despite being recorded decades ago. This timelessness stems from Brown's emphasis on melody, emotional delivery, and universal themes that transcend specific eras. While production styles have evolved, the core elements that made his music compelling remain effective. This enduring relevance explains why samples of Brown's voice continue to appear in modern productions, bringing his distinctive tones to new audiences who may then seek out his original works, creating a continuous cycle of rediscovery. For those moved by Dennis Brown's music and story, various ways exist to honor his legacy. Supporting organizations that preserve Jamaica's musical heritage ensures that future generations can access his work. Sharing his music introduces new listeners to his genius. Perhaps most meaningfully, embracing the values expressed in his lyrics, love, unity, justice, and spiritual growth, helps keep alive not just the sound of Dennis Brown, but the vision of a better world that animated his art. His music wasn't created simply for entertainment, but as a vehicle for positive change. Dennis Brown once sang, "Let love flow like a river," and through his music that love continues to flow decades after his passing. His journey from the streets of Kingston to international stages represents the power of authentic artistic expression to transcend circumstances and touch lives across cultural divides. Though his physical presence is gone, his voice remains vibrant and immediate, capable of moving new listeners just as powerfully as it did in his lifetime. In the vast landscape of popular music, few artists have left behind such a rich legacy, while maintaining such humility and connection to their roots. As we close this journey through the life of Dennis Brown, Ask yourself how many other musical pioneers remain in the shadows while their innovations shape our world. The next time you hear a soulful voice over a reggae rhythm, or notice reggae's influence in your favorite hip-hop track, remember the crown prince whose kingdom stretched far beyond what he could see in his lifetime. Dennis Brown's story isn't just about reggae, it's about how true artistry flows across time, space, and cultural boundaries, enriching lives long after the artist is gone. If you've been moved by this story, don't just click away. Dive into Dennis Brown's catalog and experience the magic firsthand. The greatest tribute we can pay to forgotten innovators is to ensure they're forgotten no more. Let the music play on.